All right, Joe Biden's border crisis is now spreading far and wide to every single corner of this great country of ours, including blue cities, which are now, well, once sanctuary cities and states. They're now being overwhelmed with new arrivals every day. Every state now is become a border state. From New York to Denver to Chicago, where our very own Sara Carter spoke to local residents earlier today. Take a look at this.
Tell me a little bit about what's been happening in your community since the overwhelming amount of migrants have come in.
I mean, you know, I thought it was a joke when when they said they were going to all be rushing in, and now we're standing right outside, and I'm seeing people walking in and out down the street, and it kind of seems like it's a little overwhelming.
We don't know who's here. Honestly, we don't need them here right now. I hate to say it. I'm sure there's some good people that have come over, but we have to take care of our own. We have homeless veterans walking around with PTSD, and no one takes care of them. We'd have no money for them, but we have money for people that aren't even Americans. It makes absolutely no sense.
Who do you blame for this?
I mean, you blame the politicians. That's how it starts, and I mean the people that vote for them.
I don't blame the Texas governor. You know, if we're going to stay here and say, oh, everyone's welcome, I mean, it's a stupid policy. The sanctuary city stuff's a joke. It's all woke, you know, pandering, and it needs to stop right now.
All right. In fact, things are so bad in Chicago that the city's now spending, get this, a whopping $30 million to move illegals into camps for the winter. Here now with more is our very own Sara Carter. I guess that doesn't meet the $12 billion estimated cost in New York City or the $40,000 per illegal immigrant in New York. However, when you have Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams now, Hochul in particular saying, even though we welcome and we're so proud of our status as, anybody can come from anywhere. Yeah, if you come into the country illegally, just don't come here. Interesting statement on her part, but this is that bad now for every state.
Oh, absolutely, Sean. And as the wave of migration continues to grow here in the city of Chicago, they are facing what they say is a strain on their resources they've never seen before. Remember, Chicago's in a budget shortfall right now of over $50 million, and there's tens of millions of dollars that are already being spent. We were actually at one of the precincts, and I got to tell you, I was overwhelmed. I was with many of the migrants there, young children living on the streets in tents inside the police precincts, no police in sight. And then I had an opportunity to speak with Alderman Raymond Lopez about the situation and the crisis here in Chicago, and it's just eye-opening what he had to say. Take a listen.
What we see here is the fact that Chicago can't sustain this. Chicago can't answer this crisis because this is the federal government's failure at the border brought to our backyard. Literally here in the middle of the city of Chicago, in front of a police district, as a scene that's been repeated 22 times over, where we have nearly 1,600 people living in police districts, in the lobbies, in tents, in the parkways. You can't keep asking cities like Chicago, whether they are a sanctuary or not, to come up with the solution for the federal government's failure. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all of Congress need to get their heads out of their rear ends and start focusing what's important and addressing this issue head on, and not hoping that it magically disappears or that you could ignore it or wish it away, because that's not working.
Sean, just this first half of September alone, more than 142,000 people were encountered by federal law enforcement at the border. Tens of thousands have moved their way across the country, and these shanty towns are growing across the nation as well. And I want you to think about this. Right now, with that $30 million that they're allocating towards the tents for the people as winter comes, that won't be enough. These are Arctic cold weather, and what I've been hearing from officials here in the city of Chicago, those tents are only good to up to 40 degrees above zero. So there's going to be a lot of people out in the streets. There's going to be a very dangerous situation, women and children as well, and they're terrified that they may see people die because of this. This is how serious it is.
Well, I also know that Chicago has been sending a lot of the illegal immigrants to the surrounding suburbs because, in spite of their liberalness, they're not that liberal. As long as you move somewhere else, we're all for sanctuary status, but not here. Sara Carter, very important report. Thank you.